officers. Thank you everybody for coming, and we have a very special event for you today. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Ish Looney.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Many of you know me, some of you that don't. My name is Lieutenant Commander Ish Looney. I'm stationed here, Chief of Waterways Management. And what a good day, to actually come and recognize some cultural heritage. So many people may not know about this, but I myself am Afro-Panamanian. So what does that mean? A lot of my ancestors came over from the West Africa. My ancestors came from Ghana over to Panama, wow, and to the Caribbean and to New Orleans. So I have a lot of interest and a lot of cultural heritage here. When our heritage came and moved over to Panama in the 16th century, a lot of those people that came over as slaves were things like gold miners. There were things like tradesmen, things your stewards, things like that. For my ancestors, they actually built boats, which related to me, because I'm a marine safety by trade, marine inspector. Fast forward to my grandfather. My grandfather not only built the Panama Canal, but was actually a professional mariner in Panama. So a lot of good information here, and I'm so proud that Dr. Rojas is here. So without further ado, this is Dr. Monica Rojas Stewart. She's the Assistant Director of African Studies and Latin American and Caribbean Studies program at the University of Washington. Dr. Rojas is the founder of the Deja Cajon Project and the Movimiento Afro-Latino Seattle, two community grassroots arts organization dedicated to educating about the cultural contributions of people of African descent in Peru and Latin America's perspective. Round of applause for Dr.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here, so grateful for the invitation and the opportunity to share a little bit of my background, my history, and his background, and many invisible Black Latinos, because many people don't. When I came to the Pacific Northwest, I couldn't believe that people didn't know that we also had slavery, as a history of slavery in South America, in Peru, and in many parts of Latin America. In fact, the great majority of people that were forcibly brought from Africa to the Americas, the great majority went to the Caribbean and South America. 40%, only 40% of those 12 million people went to Brazil. So it's huge. The influence is huge. So thank you for opening this space to learn a little bit about this, again, kind of invisible community that is very present here in Washington State. So I prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if we can pull it up. Let's see. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time just giving a brief overview of a little bit of history to contextualize what I'm gonna talk about, and then we're gonna go into more fun stuff. But it's important to understand a little bit of the context to also understand why we do what we do. There you go. I am originally from Peru. I came many years ago to pursue my formal education, and since I'm a cultural anthropologist, as I was introduced, I'm dedicated to you're a cultural anthropologist. My research is around African diaspora, Latin America, the Spanish Caribbean, and since I'm from Peru, I like to share about Afro-Peruvian culture itself. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so probably you all know where Peru is, but just in case, Here's a map of Peru. And the African descent population in Peru established mostly along the coast of Peru. The Spaniards, the colonizers that went to Peru, established in Lima. And the African descent people that were brought mainly to build the cities where the Spaniards established there. Huh? And as you see, Peru is on the west coast of South America, and we have the Andes crossing Peru like that. So the African descent population was very isolated and very, very far away from Africa, which is the source. The Caribbean, Brazil is closer to Africa. So there was more information traveling, but Peru is very isolated, right? So it's important to keep that in mind as well. So as I mentioned, approximately 12 million people were enslaved and brought to the Americas, forcibly to the American continent. And we had colonizers from France, from England, came to the US, right, the Spaniards, South America, and also the people of, can we go back? Okay, the people from Africa came from different regions of the African continent, and they were mixed on purpose so that they couldn't communicate. So different language groups from different parts of Africa were put together and brought to the Americas. And also when they arrived, they found indigenous populations in the Americas that were also very diverse, right? So that's why we all don't look the same. It's kind of same heritage, but different cultures coming together in different regions in the Americas, okay? So US, it's different from South America, etc. So the language, but also culture, indigenous communities, African people who were brought from there. We can go to the next slide. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to share about musical instruments. So something that is really important to also understand about the musical practices of the African diaspora in the Americas is that when they were brought to the Americas, it's not like they could pack their musical instruments with them, right? They were prohibited from worshiping their own goddesses, to practice their spiritual practices, to play their music, speak their language. They were imposed a religion, a language, right? And they were not allowed to do many of the things that they wanted to do. So they had to figure out a way to continue practicing their music, their traditions, etc. So this is not Peru, this is the US, but I wanted to give examples that you could relate to. Some of you probably have seen these instruments played around. Who has seen these instruments? Right? Yes. So these are items of daily life, items that they converted into musical instruments. Many countries in the Americas, like Peru, Mexico, and Argentina, the US, skin drums were banned. Too dangerous, too powerful. African descent people were using skin drums to communicate, and so the colonizers prohibited in many regions skin drums. In the Caribbean, in Panama, and in other countries in the Caribbean, it was a little bit more relaxed because the colonizers didn't settle there, didn't build cities, so there was a little bit less control. So there was a little bit more, and also closer to Africa. So there was, you will see that in some countries in Central America and in the Caribbean, there's skin drums, but not in Peru and Argentina, in other regions, and definitely not in the US. So in order to understand African diasporic music traditions, it's important to understand that. Okay, so this is the US. Okay, if we go to the next slide, I have some other examples in other. You will have to click maybe multiple times, I don't know. Okay. You've probably seen, if you've been to the Caribbean, if you've been to Trinidad and Tobago, they have the oil drums, because in Trinidad the skin drums were also banned, so they cut these oil drums and made instruments. We have kitiplas from Venezuela. These are bamboo shoots that they strike on the ground to make music. Okay, and the name comes from, it's an onomatopoeic sound from kitipla, 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 kitipla. Many musical instruments also have onomatopoeic names because of how these instruments sound. If we go to the next one, Maybe some of you have seen Mexican dance from the Caribbean side of Mexico, Veracruz. The people drum with their feet on a tarima, on a wooden drum. It's actually a drum that is on the floor, right? And they're stepping on it, and they dance and they drum with their feet. Also in Mexico, skin drums were banned. So the tarima is one of the musical instruments that they play. Okay, we go to the next. So now, those are some examples of the African diaspora music practices. Now we're going to Peru, and I'm going to share about the musical instrument. What happened in Peru? What did we do? We didn't have skin drums as well. We had at some point, but they were banned. So people started grabbing whatever they had around. So the most representative musical instrument of the Afro-Peruvian community is the cajon. It's a cajon. Can you say cajon?
Cajon.
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 Yeah, some people here like a little afraid to say that word because it sounds too close to something else. But it's cajon, okay? Cajon. Cajon means, who knows what cajon means?
Big box.
Big box, yes, big box. Caja means box. Cajon, that ending means big box. Okay, it is a wooden box that came from crates that people use to carry fruits and vegetables. You know, Lima is on the coast. We had a port, Callao, and you know, ships coming in and out, fruits, vegetables, fish. You know, it's a port. So there were a lot of boxes around. So people started banging on crates. So of course, it didn't used to look like this. Now it's a fancy instrument. So I'm going to demonstrate a little bit. I don't know if everybody can see me. So the cajon is has two sounds. Well, it has multiple sounds, but two basic sounds is a low pitch that is here, and then we have a high pitch on the corners of the drum. Okay. So I'm going to play a rhythm that is called festejo on the cajon so that you hear how this instrument sounds. Pretend that this is the low pitch and this is the high pitch, okay? So we're gonna say, let's say it with our voices. Let's say, tomo chocolate.
Tomo chocolate.
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 Tomo chocolate.
Tomo chocolate.
I think everybody understands what that means. Don't ask me why we say that, but it's a way to learn a rhythm. We teach kids like that. Not that you're kids, but that's what we do. So we're gonna do tomo chocolate. Okay, together. 1, 2, ready, go. Tomo chocolate. Tomo chocolate. Tomo chocolate. Tomo chocolate. I do it once and then you respond, okay? Full response. I do it first, you listen, you pay attention to what, and then you do it. I bet somebody's gonna play with you. Okay, 1, 2, ready, go. You. Okay, good. Some musicians here. Good. Anybody a musician? Aha. What instrument? Percussion. Okay. All right. I have 2 other instruments. Let's go to the next slide. Please. Oh, well, I wanted to show you how important this cajon, this instrument, is for Peruvians. This is a picture from a huge cajon festival in Lima, in downtown Lima. Hundreds of cajon players come once a year, and there's a big festival. If we go to the next one, you will see a picture of that's the main plaza in downtown Lima, and people are gathered playing cajon for this festival. Okay, I just wanted to show you because it's a significant instrument for us. In Peru and also outside of Peru, it's part of our Peruvian identity. In 2001, I believe the president made the cajon like our official national instrument. Okay, let's go to the next one. Cajita, say cajita.
Cajita.
Cajita, what does cajita mean? Little box. Yes, a small box. This instrument. And I put these watercolor paintings. These are from 1800s, these paintings. And you see that somebody is playing the cajita in these parades. Okay, it's a devil's dance that has its own history, but that's a whole other topic. I just wanted to show you that the instrument is old. This instrument is very old, and you'll never guess where this came from. I told you the history of the cajon. There's this crate for fruits and vegetables. Can you guess where this instrument came from?
Mortar and pestle.
Oh, that's a good one.
What did you say?
No, but no. You'll never guess.
Churning milk.
No. There's nothing. Making scones.
Jewelry box.
What?
Jewelry box.
A what box?
A jewelry box.
Oh, jewelry box. No.
Upside down birdhouse.
It's hard. Yeah, I know. You never ever. We can spend the rest of the week guessing. This box came from the collection box at church.
Wow, I never got that.
Oh, I thought that. So this was, as I mentioned, the experience, the slavery experience in the case of Peru and in other countries was very urban, right? The slaves were brought, the enslaved people were brought to build the city, and with the city, build the churches. If you go to downtown Lima and you turn a corner, you see a church. You turn another corner, you see a church. A lot of church. Catholicism was a very big tool for converting indigenous populations and African descent populations into Catholicism. And so the African descent people built the churches, painted the churches, cleaned the churches, played music in the church. They learned European instruments, played, and also collected the money, cleaned the church, everything. So this instrument came from that. So the cajita is really cool because you can play and walk at the same time. In parades, like in those paintings, you can play and walk. With the cajon, you can't do that because you're singing. Okay, so the cajita has a lead, as you see, and the lead is what keeps the beat. And then I have a stick on my right hand, and you see this shape has, because of the shape of the box, you get different sounds. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate the cajita. in Cuba. There's boxes in other shapes and forms in Chile. But something like this, I have never seen.
Did it start in Cuba or Chile?
Pardon?
Did it start in Cuba?
In Peru.
Oh, Peru.
Peru. I'm presenting Peruvian
Sorry.
instruments. Okay, so we are gonna learn to play cajita too. So with your left, well, apologies if you are left-handed. I'm right-handed. I'm sorry. So the left hand is the one that keeps the beat. Okay, so you're gonna go with your left hand. Oh, before we do that, actually, so let's learn the phrase. We're not gonna do tomo chocolate this time. This time we're gonna say la cajita.
La cajita.
Loca.
Loca.
Toca.
Toca.
Toca means play. Okay?
Toca.
This is play. Yes.
Toca.
Toca. Toca.
Toca.
Okay. La cajita.
Loca.
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 Toca.
Toca.
Okay, now we're gonna do that.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna say, here's the beat. La cajita loca toca.
La cajita loca toca.
La cajita loca toca.
La cajita toca loca.
Loca.
Toca.
Loca.
Loca.
Toca.
Toca.
No toca loca. Loca. Okay. So, la cajita loca toca.
La cajita loca toca.
La
Cajita loca toca.
la
Cajita loca toca.
la
Cajita loca toca. La cajita loca toca. La cajita loca toca.
Got it?
Cajita loca toca. La cajita loca
Good.
toca. La
Okay. La cajita loca toca. Let's go a little faster. La okay. 1, 2, ready, go. La See, you're playing cajita already. Okay. You're getting ready to go to Peru.
All right.
All right. Okay, I have a third instrument. We're almost done. The time is goes so fast. Next instrument is quijada. Say quijada.
That's all.
Quijada means
Jawbone.
Jaw.
jaw. I was reading there.
Wow.
This instrument.
Wow.
Who in the world would think that a donkey jaw?
Wow. I thought it was a whale.
No, this is actually a horse. It's a little big. This is a horse. But the donkey jaw is lighter and smaller, so the donkey is prepared. And this is a musical instrument that is present in Peru, it's present in Colombia, in Mexico, in many parts. It's amazing to think that somebody thought about picking up the donkey jaw and make an instrument of it. It's fascinating. So the way this instrument works, well, you have to wait for the donkey to die. Don't kill it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to ask,
Now
too.
then you cry for your donkey, and then you grab the jaw, and then you have to boil the bones to a point where you get all the skin out, and then you get the teeth loose.
Wow.
Yeah, you get the teeth loose, and then when you hit the bone here, is the widest part with your fist, the teeth rattle.
Wow.
And then you use a stick or something you have at hand to also scrape. Well, this donkey didn't go to the dentist. So we're missing a tooth. No, actually the tooth fell. It was way too loose and it fell also. But you scrape the teeth and you make a rhythm. We're gonna do a rhythm with a quijada. Cool instrument, isn't it? Very cool.
Wow.
All right. So
Caribbeans.
I don't have any fancy phrases for the quijada. We're gonna just go. Good, excellent. All right, so to end, I would like a volunteer to play cajon and one volunteer to play cajita.
Does it have to have a good rhythm?
Recommended. Recommended. You all, yeah? Okay. And somebody to play cajita or cajon? Which instrument would you like? Would you like cajon or cajita? Cajita. Okay. Somebody? Nobody wants to play cajon? Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see what happens. Let's start with the cajon. Como chocolate, como chocolate, como chocolate. Here. Keep going. Stop. Don't lose the beat. Keep going. Don't speed up. Don't speed up. Chocolate, como chocolate. Okay, good. Let's go a little faster. Latte, latte, latte. Thank you. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you so much. So, any questions? Any questions about any?
You want to tell us a little bit about your group and what you do?
Oh yeah, well, when I came, I mentioned when I came to the Pacific Northwest, I was like, people don't know there's black people in Peru and we have a slavery, history of slavery in other parts of Latin America. I was very surprised. So in 2009, I founded an initiative called the Cajon. Cajon, the musical instrument, but in Peru we say de cajon to say rain or shine. So if you say, are you going to that Afro-Peruvian presentation today? Oh, de cajon, it's like rain or shine, I'll be there. So I use that phrase for an initiative to my commitment to educate about the presence of people of African descent in Peru. So we've been doing presentations, workshops, classes, performances throughout the Pacific Northwest for 2009. I don't know how long, a long time. And yeah, so we just performed a concert in December. I'm invited to things like this. I go to schools a lot, assemblies and for kids, and do classes, residencies. And at UW also, I'm going to be teaching a class on music and activism next quarter. So a lot of mostly educational stuff. So that's what I'm interested to make people aware of our history that is very invisible, especially this community is very invisible, and many Black Latinos, migrant communities that we have in Washington State, many of the kids, try to fit into the Black American culture, but they're Latino, so culturally they're different, speak a different language, and then there's this idea of Latinos looking certain way, where Black Latinos not necessarily fit, so they find themselves in this thing. It's like, and then, am I Black or not? I'm not Black because people think I'm not Black because I speak Spanish, and there's this identity crisis that happens in our communities here, in our African descent communities in Washington State. There's a lot of Garifuna people from Honduras, the Caribbean coast of Honduras and Central America, here in Washington. And we have people from Brazil, we have people from Cuba, Puerto Rico, Panama. There's a large Panamanian community here as well. And so we've been doing this work to educate people about Blackness in Latin America and the contributions of people of African descent in Latin America and through the migrant communities here in Washington. So that's what I've been doing mostly. And we also play music. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to say I was fortunate enough to go to Bonaventura, Colombia, a couple of years ago. And I remember arriving there, and I saw some Black people, and I asked them, please, pardon my ignorance, I asked them where did they come from. They looked at me and said, where did you come from? So I understand what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we share a lot, and it's been interesting for me coming to the U.S. and connecting with the African American community here, and that community also doesn't know that they have brothers and sisters all over South, in Mexico, all the way to Argentina, the Caribbean, and there's a lot of cultural influence in all over Latin America from Africa. So that's part of the work that I've been doing, trying to kind of bring the diaspora together and learn from each other, because we share a history, cultural mixing, and and a lot more. I can talk about this forever. I'm very passionate about this topic. So thank you again for the opportunity to share a little bit about this culture.
All right, so I want to say thank you for coming out today, and I think this was a lot of fun. Look at this great turnout. I'm so glad we had so many people who got to see this. It was really enriching.
Thank you.
So we have, I think, some challenge coins. I have a whole stack of them here. So this event, again, was put on by the Bates, LDAC, Sector Puget Sound, LDAC, and ANSO. So I have coins for you. So these are challenge coins. And I guess the challenge to you, it's something that we give to people to recognize great work and to challenge them to continue doing it. And traditionally, what we do, we give it to them in a handshake. I have 3 of them for you.
Oh, wow.
So, here you go.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, I can't believe.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
We also have challenge coins for our, so Mr. and Mrs. Brown put together this amazing spread along with Rufus, who's finally back in the room. So can we give a big round of applause for Thank you. They donated this, and we appreciate it. We are going to have such a good time eating all this after this event is over. So.
Can I have a picture with all of you? Is that possible?
Sure. Yeah, we can come on up. Everyone want to come on up to the front where we have all these.
With the instruments.
And thank you to everybody on Zoom. Right behind you. It's Mr.
You want to get off on the back? Get off on the back.
There you go. Come on. You're in the middle. It's all back.
This is
Yeah, I know. Look. I can say
Nick. But I was just like behind me. Okay, that works too. No.
Come on in.